And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this finally Friday. It is 106 and a cozy 77 degrees outside. We got a rundown on the forecast coming up here in just a moment. You want to be a part of the conversation today, have some fun, have some questions, let us know what you're doing. Really anything. I don't care what you want to talk about. 701-293-9000 is the Red Wing shoe line. If you're feeling up to calling in today. Or you can utilize our email inboxes, weather or ag at flagfamily.com, and comment boxes there on Facebook and YouTube Live. I think we got a caller already. Hi there, caller. What's your name?
It is I.
Oh, hi, I. How are you?
Well, I'm all panicked. I need to know where to take all these cattle trailers. These empty cattle trailers. Evidently, there's a homeless cow situation. Something about adopt a cow?
There is. I can help with that.
Oh, man.
Are you ready for me to do that?
I'm so lost.
We can't have this. I think we need to put together an emergency telethon. Help the cows.
That could be arranged.
So I have the answer.
Help him out,
You need me to
Bridgette.
jump into this deal?
Yeah, go
or-
ahead,
okay.
Bridgette.
Okay, there is an Adopt a Cow program. This is going on for elementary school students. About 40,000 kids last year were participating in the program, elementary and middle school. What it is you as a teacher can sign up between now and September 1st, and your school will get assigned a dairy calf. You get to follow them over the school year starting in September, see what's going on, have virtual tours of the farm, live interactive chats with the farmers. You get updates, worksheets, and all sorts of little tidbits about your cow. So, John, you don't have to haul the cows, but you certainly get to spend a lot more time talking about them, which I don't mind.
Oh, okay. So this doesn't involve delivery then?
Sorry.
Okay.
No need for a trucker and a bull
Well,
rack. So sorry.
I got all panicked. I mean, I thought this was a situation critical thing. I was worried that my TV screen would be flooded with please help the cows. The cows are in need. Can you just send $19 a month to help the cows?
The next time I do that story,
You know,
I'll sing it in a Sarah McLachlan
I
voice,
was
if
just
that would
going to
help you out.
say,
Yeah, I was waiting for the music.
I'll do it. I'll do it again.
Then I'll go put the trailers away then. It's all good.
It's all good. They're all taken care of.
Awesome. Appreciate the
Have a
phone
good
call,
weekend.
John.
John, stay safe this weekend. Watch out for those cows.
I'm always safe.
All right.
Yeah, watch out. They'll get you. Oh,
It's always good to start off a show with John, isn't it?
You never know how it's going to start, honestly. I thought we were going to get some conspiracy talk in there for a second. Then he started talking about homeless cows. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
God,
he didn't talk anything
which
about
direction is this
nothing about
going?
chemtrails or anything today.
That's fine. We're all good.
I'm surprised.
Very
It's all
interesting.
fine. But I like that John's listening, and he was ready to jump into action to make sure those cows were well taken care of.
Right. Good deal. I got doused with a bunch of feathers on the way out of work today. There was a big semi full of chickens that was going on the going on the interstate, and all those feathers were just flying. A good thing I didn't have a convertible. Whole inside would end up being white.
So I think that it's must be livestock on the move day, because as I was traveling this morning, I'm down in the south central part of the state. I passed a truckload of bees. Dean passed chickens. John's afraid we're going to have to adopt cows. I guess we're worried that there is some sort of homeless animal experience going on, that we've got to get everybody relocated to the right spots.
Oh man, we got a nice day out there though. I mean, temperature-wise, it's not too bad. Yeah, it's a little cool,
it's
a little
nice out
a little
there.
below normal for this time of the year, but
That's close enough. 79, 77.
yeah, potato. We got a lot of clouds coming into the area though from the south. We started off with quite a bit of sunshine. Still quite a bit of sunshine north of 94, but we'll see those clouds increase for the rest of the afternoon, and could even pop off a isolated storm or two this evening, favoring after about 7 or 8. I think most of it's going to hold off till overnight, though. Highs today about where they're at right now, mid 70s for most of us. Winds have turned to the southeast now, blowing about 10 to 20. We're looking at scattered storms overnight tonight, down to 60. And for Saturday, Hit and miss storms for the first half of the day, it looks like. Some of those could be strong. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Well, I'll be busy, but Justin will keep an eye on it for you tomorrow.
How this works.
Yeah.
We'll have a discussion later.
We will?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, I will be telling you what is
going
on.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see how that works.
That's how that works.
And then a much better Sunday. We've got sunshine, a little bit of a northwest breeze, and highs in the low 80s on Sunday. Summer heat returns Monday, though. Temperatures close to 90. That would only be our second one of the season so far.
And that's what day?
Monday.
Huh. That seems suspicious. I think it's going to be kind of warm.
Why is that?
Well, it just seems like that
Lost
happened
again.
all of a sudden. I wasn't expecting 90 degrees on a Monday, so I'm just feeling a little suspicious of it.
We'll be out on the golf course. By we, I mean me.
You.
Yeah, you're golfing.
Yeah.
By we, I mean me.
Justin and I will be working, slaving away over here. Don't worry, Dee.
Yeah, you'll be
We've got it.
You'll be in an air-conditioned building. I'll be out dripping wet. But it's for a good cause. So that's all that matters, right?
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't have one of those. I think the golf club went further than the golf ball.
I've had that happen.
Yeah, I bet. Why does that not surprise me?
I've also had a golf club caught in a tree. I don't know how it got up there, though.
I have a story about that. Back at some point in time in my past career, we had a golf event for a bunch of customers, and this happened to be out at Cooperstown. And half the group played golf, and the other half went to shoot trap at a local spot. And one of the golfers got upset, and he threw, I don't know if it was a 5-iron or whatever, but it wound up in the Y in the crotch of a cottonwood tree. And he was a little upset that it was stuck up in the tree. So when the shooters came back from trap shooting, they decided that if they took their guns out there and shot at the tree, eventually the club would come back down. And the course manager drove over on a cart and said, I wouldn't mind this so much, but the neighbors are complaining. So if you guys could stop that, that'd be great.
Wow.
Thanks.
All right, the most important question, did they get the club down?
They did not recover the club at that point in time, which is a little disappointing. Yeah.
So it was stuck up there.
It's probably still there for all I know.
Why didn't they just climb it?
Well, it's probably pretty high.
Climb up there.
Extenuating circumstances, Justin. Anywho.
I've played with guys before, and
Really?
one guy got his club caught in a tree. So the other guy tried tossing his club up there to knock the other guy's club out of the tree, and then his club got caught in the tree. And it's kept going. And eventually, finally, after getting the third club stuck up in a tree,
Did they just give up?
somebody climbed up and just and got him down.
And this
Crisis
is why
averted.
you guys, this is why you guys do weather and I do ag, because sports is apparently not our thing.
I think this is why women live longer.
That's it, probably. Yes. That would be one
A
reason.
little bit of both.
Well, there's some things that go along with that too, but we'll worry about that later.
Right.
So all is well. By the way, you guys are talking about this like 77-degree thing. It is 64 degrees down here in McIntosh County. Overcast, breezy. It's a smidge on the cool and humid side, I'd like to say.
Yeah, it's cool along the South Dakota border and a little either side of that into South Dakota and North Dakota, mid-60s, and then into the a couple upper 70s in the Northern Valley. So a good little contrast in temperature, Bridgette.
Quite a lot, yes. So I have gone with everything from shorts and a t-shirt to jeans to long sleeves. You just got to keep rolling with the weather situation here. Never know what you might be doing or what you might have to face.
I agree. We got a couple of ag topics we'll touch on today. One about nominating your farmer's market. And the second topic today is Bezos' donation to NCSU. So why don't we head on that? What's going on with old Bezos?
So Mr. Bezos and his foundation have decided that they would like to take about $30 million over a 5-year period and present that to North Carolina State University for research. They're calling it the Sustainable Protein Lab. And what they're doing is putting further research into meats that are either cellular-based or plant-based. When I say cellular-based, I mean like growing them in a lab, which we have called fake meat, but protein-based, which we've already had the discussion with the prior guest, that can be chickpeas, lentils, peas, etc., that would create that plant-based food. And I have some thoughts on that as to why they're doing it. And most of it stems from the fact that I just recently read a book about deglobalization between starting now and moving to about the year 2040. And with that, there's a lot of countries in the world that are not going to have the financial access to proteins that they have today. Pork is the number one protein consumed around the world. And even that may start to be a little bit more out of reach, even chicken and especially beef. So I think this research is about to be done here in the States, but likely not used here as much as it would be used in other countries who are looking for cheaper alternatives. That's just my gut reaction to this. But if Mr. Bezos would like to spend $30 million, I would be happy to find places for him to spend it. He can just let me know. You can reach me, ag@flagfamily.com, and I will take your dollars. Thank you.
Right. That's a questionable thing. I'm not so sure about that lab-grown stuff. But we have a couple guests that are going to be joining us in a few moments. Morgan and Craig, correct?
We do. Morgan Torkelson Craig LaPlante. They are with the Ray Archuleta Red River Valley Soil Health Tour. So I'm looking forward to them talking about this because, well, who's Ray Archuleta? I'm not entirely sure. What's going to be a soil health tour? I bet we'll find out. Could have something to do with that underwear I was encouraging you to bury in the soil earlier this week, Justin. And one of our morning shows interpreted that as their soiled underwear, and I chose not to ask any questions about it. So we'll have that discussion when we return. Again, that'll be with Morgan Torkelson, Craig LaPlante. They are coming to us from one of the Minnesota counties. I think it's Polk County. I better double check that, but we'll talk to them right after this. want to make sure to say a thank you to a couple of our sponsors for our Here We Grow project. Justin and I were in the field yesterday, just hanging around, eating snacks, looking at corn. It was a great day to be outside.
We
And
did.
what we saw, well, our corn looks pretty good, even that spray painted one.
I thought it was very interesting. I had no idea why we'd be spray painting corn in the first place.
I've been asked several questions about why, and we'll have a video explaining that before too long. Thank you to Pivot Bio and Fultz Buildings for being two of our sponsors. Pivot Bio, in fact, is bringing a nitrogen product to our field to help out with our corn yield because Justin thinks we're going to break all the records this year. Oh, and I'm hoping we do. It'd be kind of nice anyway.
Yeah, that's what we do here, or at least we come close.
So thank you again to Pivot Bio, Fultz Buildings. And today, if you have questions as we visit with our guests, you can reach us on the Red Wing Shoe line, 701-293-9000. Make sure you keep sending us weather reports like Terry does down at Abercrombie, letting us know when his rain gauge gets more than just a little full. Today, we have with us a couple of guests, and that is Morgan Torkelson and Craig LaPlante. Folks, you're joining us from up north, and I'm doing this off the top of my head. Polk County? Do I remember right?
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Excellent. So let's just start with the simple things. First of all, Morgan and Craig, tell us what each of you do because you don't exactly work for the same spot.
Nope. I work for the West Polk Soil and Water Conservation District, and I run the tree program and our new soil health program, among a couple others.
And then I farm here around the Kirkston Fish area, and then I'm a United States sales agronomist for Hawkins Chemical out of Minneapolis.
Okay, just a couple of differences there, but that leads us to a lot of questions about an upcoming soil health tour that you're going to be doing. Let's talk a little bit about soil health and what it means to each of you in your respective roles. So when you think about what you're doing, Morgan, with a soil health specialist, what does that mean when you go to work every day?
So I guess to define soil health, I would just say, soil is primarily the parent material, the broken down rocks from millions of years that's turned from bedrock into clay, soil, silt, and sand. And that's just part of it, though. Once soil is sat, like in our valley bottom here, the ancient lake bed, the plant roots, the grazing animals that fed on it for thousands of years is what actually turns that parent material into soil itself, brings life into it, and helping farmers understand what that life means to the soil with the providing nutrients to the crops they're trying to grow, resilience, water infiltration, all that stuff that is a benefit of, treating your soil like a living thing is something that I help farmers understand. And if I can't find them an answer, I can put them in touch with someone who has a better understanding than myself. And that's where someone like Craig comes in, because he's been working on this stuff on his farm for a long time in our area. And he's kind of a go-to guy in this area.
So speaking of that, go ahead. I want you to answer, Craig, how this works with the role that you do every day as well, and probably what you do for soil health practices right there on your farm.
So for me, I've taken the farm in a regenerative ag process in direction through the use of the cover crops to reduce wind and water erosion. And this year was a really good example of how beaten up and depleted and abused our soils are when we saw these huge dust storms that had happened. And then now with this rainfall situations that we've got tremendous amount of soil erosion that are being washed off of these fields and sent to our rivers, creeks, and streams. And a lot of our inputs got moved in that direction as well too. So if we can start changing some of our farming practices by using some of these cover crops, reducing tillage, reducing or changing how we apply our inputs, then we can start to make real differences. And the consumers are looking at that. And then for how I work with Hawkins is to help implement these changes on a broad base across the United States and into Canada where we're using the 4 R's of fertilizer and chemical applications so we can mitigate some of these issues and still be profitable or even more profitable on our farming operations.
And guys, I've got a quick question here. How would you compare our soil health now to, let's say, 10, 20 years ago? Is it better? Is it worse? About the same?
It's far worse. It's far worse.
And what do you?
Our soils are very, very depleted and beaten up. And there are soil tests that you can run on these. So there are water infiltration rate studies. There are phosphofatty lipid acid tests, so we can see what the varieties of our soil microbiome is. There's the organic matter tests. There's Haney tests. There's many ways of verifying the differences in our soils from what we were even just 20 years ago of how bad our soils have been depleted.
And what's the main reason for that? I mean, you would think with the advanced in farming and that things would be much better now than they were 20 years ago.
That is the problem, is because of the high horsepower and the huge tillage equipment, we can get across land very rapidly. And we can get in when the soils probably shouldn't be gotten into. And we because we have the power that we wouldn't have had 20 years ago to power through these fields. And with the ever increasing input that we're putting into these fields, we're burning up our soil organic matters, and we're actually reducing the diversity of our soil microbiome. So we've changed our structure in our soils. You know, some of our prairie soils up by here at Crookston used to be up as high as a 13.2% organic matter in some of the tests I've taken this last fall and early winter, and we're now down to 3.5s and 4s. And what you got to remember is each 1% of organic matter holds 1 acre inch of water. So that's 27,156 gallons of water absorption. And when you drop from 10, 12 down to 3s and 4s, we're not taking that water in and it's running off. And that depletes our soils as well, and it dries up our aquifers as well too.
Very interesting.
There's a lot of changes that have happened because of some of those practices, and I've been making a list of questions of things that I want to ask, not only for Morgan but for Craig. And for those who have their own questions, you can reach us at 701-293-9000, the Red Wing Shoe phone line. But we'll want to do that with the bottom of the hour news coming up. We'll put you in queue so you can ask when we return and continue our conversation with Morgan Torkelson and Greg LaPlante. And we're going to be talking about the Ray Archuleta Soil Health Tour. Hey guys, by the way, I don't know who Ray is, so I'm looking forward to asking that question at some point too. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to the program. 1:33 on this finally Friday afternoon. If you want to be a part of our conversation here today, feel free to give us a call, 701-293-9000. That's the Red Wing Shoe phone line, or email weatherorag@flagfamily.com. We're going to head over to the Red Wing Shoe line right now, bring Jim into the program. And Jim, welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for listening. You got a question for Morgan or Craig?
Yeah, recently I was watching a program and they were discussing regenerative farming. And, it made a lot of sense. They eliminated a huge majority of their inputs in fertilizer by planting beans next to their wheat. They pulled the nitrogen out of the atmosphere, which would go back into the soil. And as they're planting these things, they're actually also adding microbes to the soil. And then at the end, when it was all harvested, they would separate everything out. They had a premium crop. And what was most interesting about this when they were having a discussion was that how afraid they were. How afraid that they're looking at the future. And this was over in England. And that in a matter of years, like maybe 50 years, they wouldn't be able to grow a crop there anymore because it wiped out like 80% of their insect population on these lands, which insects are an important part of any ecosystem. But they were depleting the soil so much, it was basically just becoming dirt. So they need to do something about it. And I don't understand why we're not moving towards that more in this country instead of building more fertilizer plants so we can dump more nitrogen on the soil. And the nitrogen is in the atmosphere and it's available, and all it takes is some creative farming to do it. And it would save the farmer money. They said they saved like 100,000 pounds on input by doing this. Their yields were less, but they made up for their input.
Okay, Jim, hang on. We're going to give Morgan and Craig the chance to respond to that. I think they probably have some pretty good answers, so hold tight for those. And, no problem at all. We're glad you called in and asked.
Yeah,
and,
thanks for calling,
I know
Jim.
You said more fertilizer plants. Do know that a lot of those are now going to be green fertilizer plants, and we can explain those here later as well. But Morgan, Craig, who wants to start?
Yeah, one thing that I've had to understand, and it's becoming clearer to me, the longer I do this job at the Soil and Water Conservation District, is there's a lot of inertia in farming these days. These farms have been around here for 3, 4, 5 generations, and understanding how to work your land and grow a crop on it and turn a profit that ensures that farm stays sustainable. A lot of that is just information that's passed down, lessons learned over the years, and you get used to doing something a certain way in the context of a global market, global supply lines, how things have just been evolved over 150 years, like our farming history here in the Red River Valley. And it's hard to take a leap on something like that. And I'm sure this is something that Craig can speak about too. You've built a business, you understand your ground, you know what works on it, what doesn't. And there's a lot of apprehension out there to even take a small step early on, let alone just kind of cannonball straight into regenerative farming without really understanding how that's going to end up on your ground, when there aren't a whole lot of people in the area that have begun to do this, a whole lot of early adopters that are even a few years ahead of you to show you that it's possible, to show you those lessons learned, those potential dead ends that they found on their own. So when you're looking at that many changes that kind of need to come together, it's hard to pick that first one that you want to tackle. And I think Craig can speak to where he started on that and what may have been some apprehension in the beginning of his struggle too.
For where you're talking about where you're incorporating these, they're called a polyculture or type of cropping system, and where that comes into play is helps with input reductions and stuff like that. But what makes it difficult to get implemented is rules and regulations. And that comes down to federal crop insurance premium packages, where these practices are not mainstream right now per se. So it's hard to get federal crop insurance coverage on that unless you write your own policy and then prove it with ag specialists and agronomists and professors from the universities to start implementing these practices. So there's a financial risk there if you can't get insurance coverage, and especially like this year where we have a tremendous amount of prevent to plant acres, or where we've had to replant several times. It's hard to get funding for that. Now, there's different organizations that are coming forward to help with that situation. Several food manufacturing companies are coming through with funding, and the funding comes through like the Soil and Water Health Coalitions. Then there's several of the through the NRCS. There's through the DNR, through Pheasants Forever. There's many different organizations that are helping implement those kind of dollars to help producers go in this direction so that they can start proving that these are viable practices. Then it takes the planting equipment, and it takes the harvesting equipment and the seed cleaning and separating equipment. And then you run into health issues with some of these different crops because of allergens, where you can't have some of these crops mixed. And there's a zero tolerance in some of those allergens for crops, say like for buckwheat and wheat production, there's a zero tolerance because of the allergens issues. So it's more involved than just saying, hey, I'm going to plant peas and oats together and let's run with it and call it good.
So, Craig, that was an awesome list of organizations that people can look at to get information. And I know that we're going to talk more about where they can follow what's happening with your tour. But I would like to encourage, if you missed those, if you were trying to write them down, you can follow us and watch the playback, YouTube, Facebook, Acres TV, and you can go through that list that Craig mentioned and make sure to note those organizations, which leads me to what you all are doing in your region with the Ray Archuleta Soil Health Tour. Who's Ray Archuleta? I got asked that a lot. Can you explain?
Yes. Ray Archuleta is a soil scientist, and he worked for the NRCS for decades, helping farmers understand and adopt the practices that Craig and I are talking about here. And he had a lot of success with those federal programs, incentivizing cover crops, incentivizing reduction in tillage, and it gets a lot of acres, under better care with less erosion, better soil health, and all the things that come with that. But once those payments stop, sometimes it's easy just to go back to the old conventional methods, and he saw that as a big problem. And what he saw as the best way to combat that is helping people understand the processes, how soil works, how important it is to sustain that proper microbial community, reducing tillage. Every time you do a deep tillage to get that residue in the ground, you get a big flush of air into the soil that helps decompose that residue quickly, which makes it easier to plant next year. But you also shift those microbial communities away from a good, healthy fungal community into a bacterial community, and you reduce that biodiversity that's so important to help sustain the function of that soil and limit erosion. Once he started working on showing people how important that is and showing them the scientific processes, the biology of the soil, how important that is, he saw so much potential that he started an organization called Understanding Ag. It's a great name for exactly what he's trying to do. And now he tours the world and demonstrates this stuff on site to people that may have not seen it before, people that may have seen it but haven't seen it practiced in their area and haven't tried it on their own farms yet. So he sees that as the first step, showing people the importance of it, the value in it, and the increase in the resilience of your cropland and therefore the resilience of your farm. So that's what he's going to come here to the Red River Valley to do, because that's one of the common concerns people have is our short growing seasons and how closely matched the crops we grow are designed to fit into that season, which doesn't leave a lot of time at the end of the year to start a cover crop. There's not a lot of time in the beginning of the season, too, to get that field work, to get your crop in. And those are some of the major hangups we find around here. And helping people understand the importance of it might make them take a second look at these practice changes and see the value in taking that first step.
Man, this tour is going to have a lot going on. Can you tell us a little bit more about what people will be seeing when they're on the tour with you?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, so as I mentioned earlier on, one of the programs I run here at the Soil and Water Conservation District is the tree program. I'm a certified arborist. I love trees. I've been climbing them for a long time, pruning them, teaching people about them. And anyone here that I've sold trees to or planted to or answered a question about knows that I can just talk on and on about trees. It's a passion of mine. And that's how Ray is about soil. So a big part of this stop here in Crookston and all the others up and down the valley is going to be Ray talking to farmers about the importance. You know, he speaks passionately about this stuff because he understands it and he believes in it. Along with that, we're going to have a panel discussion of local farmers, Craig of whom is going to be one, and several others who have been working on this stuff for years. Folks that have cow-calf operations, folks that grow sugar beets, you know, small grains farmers. A lot of people have been working on this from different angles, and we're going to get a discussion going with them and Ray just to see how things are going up here. Open it up to the attendees to ask them, you know, what were the hangups? How did you find your way around them? What can I do to get started in this sort of thing? So those are going to be two of the main things, two of the big points here. And we're also going to have soil health demonstrations where Ray is going to do a couple rainfall simulation demonstrations where we take native soil from around Craig's farm, strip tilled soil, conventionally tilled soil, soil that hasn't been touched in generations, 150 years.
150 years number.
And so we're going to see how those compare. And like we mentioned before, one of the big benefits of soil health is the structure that comes with it. You know, when you don't till the soil, you don't destroy that structure on an annual basis. You let the roots do their thing, you let the soil microbes do their thing, you let the earthworms do their thing. That builds a structure in soil that allows better rainfall infiltration, prevents runoff, prevents erosion. And you can see that in real time when we look at these soil samples under the same conditions, having rainfall simulated over the top of them. You get an idea of how much rain flows through them and would essentially be going down deeper into your soil to sustain your crops through a long dry summer. How much of that rainfall flows off the top as runoff, and then the quality of that water that flows off. That's another important thing for surface water quality for people that fish, for people that drink water, who, you know, people that just don't like to see, you know, soil or surface water degradation. So those are some of the things, some of the hands-on things that Ray's going to demonstrate to kind of hammer home the points he's making.
Great. And guys, if somebody wants to register, how do they go about that?
You can call our office. The phone number is 218-281-6070, and I can help do that for you. Otherwise, you can go to our website, westpolkswcd.org. It's as simple as finding we have a flyer posted on there with a QR code on it. Just snap a picture of that with your phone, enter in a little bit of information, tell us how many people are going to attend, and that's it. And, you know, that's about all there is to it. You know, we're kind of incentivizing this farmers to anyone who wants to attend. We're going to have a free lunch there from a local smokehouse, Erickson Smokehouse down in Fertile, and they're going to be serving smoked brisket sandwiches with their own locally grass-finished beef. So that kind of is a little value-added thing there. I'm looking forward to that a lot.
What day is that? Because we want to reiterate what day, what time, where are they going to be? Save me a sandwich. Okay, all the things.
The day is Tuesday, July 9th, and we're opening things up at 8 a.m. It's officially going to begin at 9, but we're going to have kind of a vendor expo there too we've been working on. So if folks want to show up at 8, they can kind of take a walk around, look at some of the vendors that are going to be there. Then Ray's going to talk. We're going to do the soil demos, the farmer panel. We should wrap up around 3 and then kind of open things up for the vendor area again at the expo.
And what happens, weather permitting, what if we get heavy rain? Will the event be moved to a different venue, or how does that work?
We've got tents that are being put up. So we'll have room for people to go inside of the tent areas for protection. Or if we're real hot and sunny, we'll have the tents up for shade purposes as well too. So the show goes on, whether it's rain or shine.
Gotcha.
It's just like farming, rain or shine.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So Craig and Morgan, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate that and taking the time to share all those answers with our folks who are listening. One last thing before you go. Craig, you mentioned the 4 R's.
Yes.
For people who are listening, could you please define the 4 R's? I think I know all of them, but it would be best that we make sure everyone who's listening does know as well.
Well, you got the right product, the right rate, the right timing, and I'm going on with one other one. I'm just skipping right now. Location and placement. There you go, Morgan.
Yep,
Yes.
that's it. That was what I was looking for, because when we say the 4 R's, it's not reading, writing, arithmetic, and something else. It actually has to do with our inputs. So,
Yes. And
thank
there's actually a certification you can get done for your farm, so you can be a certified farm for that as well too.
That is an awesome point to make. Thank you, gentlemen. And for those listening, if you didn't hear how to register, you can always drop me an email, ag@flagfamily.com, and I would be happy to share that information with you. We are going to return in just a few minutes. Dean is going to recap all of the weather. I'm just going to go, but well, there's more ag headlines to follow. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. 1:53 in the afternoon, temperatures in the mid-70s, and we've pretty much put a halt to the temperatures. Clouds have come in. Temperatures in the far southern valley and only in the 60s. And Bridgette, where you're at, out in the south central part of the state, I believe, temperatures there in the 60s. You got a little rain on radar also out to our west as well.
Well, being where I'm sitting right now, and I'm watching these gray low-hanging clouds, pretty sure it's not going to be too terribly long before I see some rainfall. So if I'm going to get any more outdoor activities in, I'd better hustle.
Right. And if you have evening plans, we could see those showers moving in from the west after about 8 o'clock, obviously a little sooner out to our west and southwest as those showers and storms right out of south central part of the state and moving eastward. So better chance of storms coming in overnight tonight. And then those showers and storms continue for the first half of the day on your Saturday with improving conditions, hopefully by evening, the way it looks. And then Sunday, the pick day of the weekend, Sunday looks pretty darn nice out there. So all in all, not a bad-looking forecast. The rain we get, quarter, half inch. Some areas could pick up a little bit more under some of the thunderstorms, but pretty much a halfway decent-looking forecast. We're seeing less 70s in the forecast, more 80s, and even a few 90s. So that's a sure sign that that summer is almost here. Officially, it's here, but it just hasn't felt like it.
Well, it is. It is. And we're on the downward slope. I mean, yesterday was the longest day of the year. People, it's just going to get worse from here. Celebrate.
Now, don't put a buzzkill on it just because the days are going to get slowly shorter. I mean, we've got plenty. Summers are short enough up here. Get the heat in here.
We're gonna need it, and we'd like to see it. Our corn could take some heat units, gentlemen. Take some units.
Well, and there's more coming. Well, let's hit on a couple of ag topics, Bridgette. We've got farmers market contest coming up, correct?
There is. So the American Farmland Trust holds this as their 15th annual contest for vote for your favorite farmers market. So if you have one that you attend regularly, and many people do, you have the opportunity to submit their name on the American Farmland Trust website. If you need a link, just email me, ag@flagfamily.com. I'd be happy to help out. By nominating them, your favorite farmers market could partake in prizes up to $5,000. There's a whole prize package of about $15,000. It's just a matter of time until one of those is right for you. So go in, get those votes. Show those people how much you appreciate what they do.
And more importantly, what's this story about wine being damaged by smoke? This could be a problem.
Uh-oh.
Well, it really could, because if we remember back to the wildfires in 2020, we saw that there was a lot of smoke over in Washington. Some of those areas grow great wine grapes. Well, when that happened, the vineyards have now since banded together, and they are suing the power company in that region because the power company chose to leave the power on. When they did that, they believe it contributed to the fires overall during those flames, and then the smoke provided damage to the grapes. So during harvest and more.
Wow.
Bridgette.
Did I just die?
Oh, there we go. You're back.
Did I freeze up, guys?
Your audio's back.
I'm back.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so there was quite a lot of smoke damage done to these grapes. And so because of that, the wineries are banding together to sue the power company, and they're very unhappy with the situation.
Wow. You think that'll go
By the
anywhere?
way, it's raining a lot now.
Now it's, yeah.
Now it's raining. It's very likely that it will, because you think about the damage and loss that they had in their harvest to their quality of wine and to their end product sales. So it's very possible that it might. Now, when you talk about things that fall from the sky, well, smoke is part of it, but then sulfur was another concern, because back when we had the Clean Air Act in 1990, that forced them the removal of about 10 million tons of sulfur emissions from U.S. factories. That means that farmers lost their free source of sulfur from the air that was great for row crop. Now what you see is we have to add sulfur back into crops like our corn, because it's the fourth most essential crop nutrient after nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So interesting enough, we cleaned up the air, but now we have to do something to keep our corn crop going strong for
I was
yield.
gonna say,
Sulfur is
whatever
very important.
happened to that sulfuric rain? That would have helped out in that situation.
Yeah, acid rain was supposed to be
Back
a
in the
thing,
70s?
and-
Wasn't that back
Something
in
that
the 70s?
just never happened.
Yeah, 70s, early 80s. I just remember those discussions about it, and not much happened.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us on this Friday afternoon. I hope everybody has a great weekend. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next, but it's going to be Justin by the Lakes. He'll be hosting his show. I'm out of here because, I'm sorry, that guy, he just kind of scares me.